Thank you for joining us on The Elders with Gino and the Doc. Today, we're going to send a big shout out to the people that got us here, Doc. We're going to talk about CAN-TV.
Good.
CAN-TV, let me explain to the people that don't know. They provide the studio that we're talking to you from. They provide a lot of things. And I'm going to first start out by giving you CAN-TV's words, not my words. CAN-TV, established by the city of Chicago in 1983 to maximize the involvement of Chicago residents and groups in cable television, CAN-TV delivers over 140 hours of original, hyper-local programming each week. Additionally, CAN-TV provides coverage of events relevant to the local community and gives every Chicagoan a voice on cable television by providing video training services, facilities, equipment, and channel time for Chicago residents and nonprofit groups. Remember that. That's really important. They provide video training, facilities, equipment, and channel time for Chicago residents and nonprofit groups. Right now we're talking about Chicago, but if you go to some other suburbs like Evanston, they have their own local cable groups. We're talking about Chicago. You're watching in Chicago. We all live in Chicago. So we're talking about CAN-TV in Chicago. CAN-TV's 5 local cable channels, CAN-TV Channel 19, Channel 21, Channel 27, Channel 36, and Channel 42 reach more than 1 million viewers in the city of Chicago. That's CAN-TV. And what this means mostly, and certainly specifically, is CAN-TV was established by the Chicago City Council to make sure Chicago residents could get in and be on television if they choose to be on television. And that's how I got here. Doc, explain how you got here.
Same way. I got here, I was basically informed about CAN-TV by one of the employees of CAN-TV back in the day, Lou Saponte. And that's when the Hal Washington program, the Chicago Intervention Network, that was in 1985. And she was working there and she was working here. And I came here. And me and Boise and others.
Brother Boise Edwards.
Right. And others, yes. You know, we was here and we grew with CAN-TV. And we used to take bus loads of people to city council meetings and to Springfield to be sure. And we had a lot of aldermen and other type of politicians. And you even know the Obama story here. But now a lot of old-time producers are nervous because now you got a new regime. And it seemed like the priority has switched. Seemed like the regular person from the hood is no longer, I don't like the word entitled. It seemed like somebody else was more entitled to these services than what that statement said. Now, I don't know because the fact that, you know, it is what it is, but I want to believe that this statement here that was created back in the day when cable was coming in and da-da-da-da-woo-woo, I want to believe that that's what CAN-TV will always stand on, and that regardless of what and who they hire, that the statement don't change, because that's what many of us have come here and learned how to function and work with the staff. But when something began to turn into a hostile type of situation, then, yeah, we are going to talk about that.
Now, I came here in 1995. I saw the Doc and our dear departed brother Boise Edwards on a show, and I was inspired to join CAN-TV, find out what it's all about. And the important thing for the people watching today is this not over with. CAN-TV is still here, and you can still participate in it. If you have a great idea, or even just a great idea to you, and you want to spread it to the masses, that's what CAN TV is for. You come down here, they train you, and you end up like we are, in front of the camera or in front of the radio, whatever the case might be. CAN TV trains you and provides the services. The reason we're talking today is because lately, certainly now, here it is, April of 2023, CAN TV has changed, and some of us think not for the better. I came in, I didn't know nobody.
Right.
I went to a training class. This week I hit on my computer and hit training classes. There was no training classes listed. Doc, I mean, I don't understand why the focus, but what has happened at CAN TV, and the new executive director, his name is Darius something. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I don't know the gentleman. He's probably a great guy. I don't know him. I want to be clear about that. I just know the current executive director has come up with this idea that he has signature shows, Doc, whereas regular people like you and me, Doc, don't have a seat at the table. We have to get the scraps after his signature shows that shows at the most appropriate times for people like you and me to have a show with show. When I started in 1995, I started on a show called Financial Concepts of Success. At the time, I was an insurance professional, and I talked about financial health. And my show luckily became a series at some point because I did it so regularly, and I came on at 8:30 on Thursdays, 4 years. And people said, wow, we saw you on TV. I enjoyed the show. It was great. I did over 150 episodes. CAN TV would know exactly how many I did, but I did more than 150 episodes over the years. But I was a regular person who had a regular idea and put it out there. But CAN TV's signature shows now take up the bulk of all of the TV time. And when a person like me says, hey, I want to come to the studio and use the studio to do this show or any other show, they say, oh, the schedule is full. CAN TV is now my competition. And an important thing to remember is the money for CAN TV is provided through laws that the city council has made that makes other cable companies donate to CAN TV. Now, of course, these companies are not happy to donate, but they created CAN TV as a non-commercial place. This is a place where you can't have commercials. You can't come out here and say, wow, this car maker's cars are great. Or you can't come out here and say, this coffee maker's products are great. That's not what CAN TV is about. CAN TV is about non-commercial use, where you help the public by giving them information. And by separating the non-commercial, saying you can't make commercials, that usually means most companies are not really interested in CAN TV because a company that's donating money wants something for their efforts, Doc. So when you have this new executive director who has decided that CAN TV should have specific shows where employees of CAN TV are in front of the camera. So now we're paying employees who should be training the citizens of Chicago, who the mission statement says they're working for, who are in front of the camera, who are in competition with people who are members of the community trying to do their own show. That's not fair, Doc.
Well, you know more about what you're talking about than I do. My position is that, we have gone to board meetings, and I would imagine they got a whole new board than when they had the aldermans and other people that was very active in CAN TV and was very supportive. So the new board must be in cahoots or must approve what the new director is doing. I think I've seen him in passing. He's probably been here, I guess, probably about a year now. And I understand he might have came from Chicago State. So, I don't know. But you're right, there used to be series, and there are people now that had series that no longer really use CAN TV, and they've been forced. So they think to use Facebook Live. And my thing is, that's such a step down from what CAN TV provides.
He has chased away, the current administration has chased away regular CAN TV
Wait a minute. Do you think he
Producers.
chased them away intentionally?
He chased
Or is that
them
that we
away.
don't understand?
He chased them away. Employees, he's chased away. If you look at the CAN TV, and this is not just me spitballing, if you look at the CAN TV webpage, which is what I did, because the only way you know is to look. And if you go through the CAN TV, there's a lot of vacancies, Doc. A lot of jobs available. And hold on, what do you mean there's a lot of jobs available? CAN TV, of course, may have needed people, from time to time, but people now are being fired and quitting under suspicious circumstances all over the place. And one thing, for example, the gentleman that produced our first shows, he's recently been fired when I think he was doing a great job. And now he's been fired. So people are being fired because if you're a crewman, if you're an employee at CAN TV and you're not down with this guy's chosen people presenting shows, which is what CAN TV has turned into, where the new executive director has chosen people who have shows, Doc. And some of those people work at CAN TV, so they're direct competition for the users. People like you and me that used to be able to come down here and do a show. And let's go into, once you do a show, CAN TV always had what we call a prop room, which meant there was community property. You can go in there. If you need a chair, you get a chair. If you need a table, you go in the prop room and get a table. You need a curtain, you would go in there and get that. Now, most of the stuff is the Signature Shows property, and you can't touch it. It's
Now, were they producers at CAN TV before they became Signature Shows? Or where did they come from? I mean,
and who's producing the Signature Show? CAN TV is taking the money being given to them by the cable companies and creating direct competition to the cable companies with employees, which is not fair to the employees because CAN TV, Jose Salazar,
God
rest his soul. He was an employee here, a great employee. We got Barbara Popovic was a previous executive director. And I'm not saying she was a saint, but she was a heck of a good executive director.
She had the producers.
She had the producers back.
She had their back.
She made sure that CAN TV had new equipment. Where's the new equipment, Doc?
And don't forget Terrence Morris. Where's
Terrence Morris. Oh, my goodness. We couldn't do this without people like Terrence Morris. Over years, he solved thousands of problems for me.
Yeah.
You got to give the man credit. The gentleman, our producer, Amari, wonderful guy. We got Leslie, a wonderful lady. Luckily, she's still here. But they're slowly chasing everyone who understands that CAN TV was made here for the producers. And now that they've changed it to CAN TV serves the whims of the executive director, those people are being pushed out, Doc. Because if you think the producers are more important than his favorite people, then you are on the outs with him and he fires you. Now, you mentioned an employee used to be in production services, the manager of production services, Terrence. He recently retired. Do you think the executive director called him and said, good job, whatever? No. He didn't say a word to him, ducked him in the bathroom when on his last day. Wouldn't even shake his hand and say, well done. How do I know that? I asked him. It's a disgrace, Doc. So if you're not in his team, you're persona non grata, which means get out. And it's a shame that, and I don't know the board, and maybe we're going to have to talk to them. We certainly planned on going to the last board meeting, but at the last the last day, the last minute, it was changed from an in-person meeting to a Zoom meeting.
Well, then we need to get some legal counsel that can have something
A
done.
real talk.
Right.
A real talk.
Because, see, I didn't know all of this you're talking about.
And one thing is for sure, CAN TV is a great place.
Right.
Produce great shows. What we have a problem with is these so-called signature shows where the executive director decides to decide who should be on TV and who should not be on TV. I would never be on TV because, first of all, I'm not going to kiss anybody's booty to be on TV. So I would never be on TV. If it wasn't about just showing up and doing what the rules say you can do, I wouldn't be here. But we have had so many people that have sat here. We had former President Obama here at this studio. I interviewed him live. Can TV had live shows where we had various politicians. You say, what do you mean you've had various politicians? We've had aldermen. We've had mayors. We've had Lori Lightfoot down here. We've had Rahm Emanuel down here. We've had Richie Daley, Emma Mitz. We've had Alderman Burnett. Alderman Burnett's one of my favorite aldermen, but that's another story because he's just a great guy. We've had Percy Giles down here, Michael Chandler, Howard Brookins, Pat Donnell. We had Dorothy Brown has been down here in her red outfit many times. We've had actors down here. We've had professors down here. We've had Conrad Worrell down here. We've had Chicago police superintendents, Gary McCarthy, Jody Weiss. We've had David Brown down here. We've had Alderman Jesse Evans. We've had so many luminaries. We've had the Chief Judge, Timothy C. Evans, down here.
And these are people that was brought in from community producers, not from the executive director.
These are people that other users knew or could reach out to and say, hey, Chief Judge, would you come on my show? And the Chief Judge said, you're a community person trying to help the community. Of course I'll come down here. Judge Evans has been down here more than once. And the good thing about Judge Evans, when he comes, he brings other judges. He said, I'm going to bring 5 other judges with me that the people never get a chance to see. That's what we do. We've had First Lady Michelle Obama down here. We've had activist Walter Gatus Bradley, Tim Evans, Chris Taliaferro. We've had lots of judges. Tony Preckwinkle has been down here. Dorothy Brown. We've had Illinois Supreme Court Justice P. Scott Neville. I'll never forget. I had him on my show, and I had him on my show when he was less than what he is now. And I mean, he's a great guy. You know, I'm not saying we're friends. I don't want to get nobody in no trouble. But my point is, he came on my show, and the beauty of Can TV is there's no money exchanged. You don't pay to come on the show. You're here for free, and that's what makes Can TV wonderful. I didn't take a penny or ask for a penny from any of these people. That is the difference of Can TV, and you can be in Can TV. Our number, we got to get the Can TV number up. Hopefully one of our producers throws it up there because I don't know it offhand, and I always get it wrong. I know it's 312-738-1400. 1400. You can join and you can make your own shows. Yes, you might be on Facebook Live, you might be on this, but Can TV is here for you and your families. I raised my 3 kids on Can TV. I truly did. You say, what do you mean you raised your 3 kids on Can TV?
True, you did.
When we had these people here, when we had Barack Obama here, when we had those kind of people, my kids were in the conference room doing their homework. Because on Can TV, they had a Tuesday night live show from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. It was a live show. So I would have those kinds of people on that live show, and Brother Boise Edwards and the doc, sometimes they would set it up and say, Gene, can you bring some of these politicians? And my kids sat in the conference room and met all these people, and they were raised in Can TV. My kids were here 12 and 13 years old. So you can do that, and you can do it for your family. What happened with my kids? 2 of them are lawyers now, Doc.
Right. That's right.
2 of them are lawyers. The other one works for Metra as a digital services manager. Where do you think she got the digital knowledge from, Doc?
Right.
From Can TV. All of them make a lot more money than I make, Doc.
And I saw them when they was shorties.
They
I
were
saw
shorty.
them when they was babies. And now these are grown folks. And I know one daughter got a son, and he must be about 7 or 8, like my grandson.
He 11.
He's
He's 11, and he's coming on the show. I'm bringing him on the show.
Right.
I
All
bought
those
him,
people came
It's a
here.
secret, but I bought him an iPad recently
Oh, okay.
for his birthday. His birthday's not here, but I bought it. It's all packaged up. But the point is, ladies and gents, you can be down here. If you're in Chicago and you have a message, I like to think we have a message. But Can TV is here for everybody. Now, right now, the executive director is not on that plan. He's on a personal plan. And maybe he has the board of directors support. I don't know the board of directors. We're going to certainly meet them. the next meeting, we're going to show up and we're going to talk to them, hopefully, and try to convince them that we're on the wrong path. And hopefully they'll listen. But if not, we have plenty of politicians that have been down here. We had a show on election a few days before election because they had live shows on Saturdays, Sundays, and some Tuesday nights.
That's right.
So on the Sunday before an election, we had lots of judges that would show up just to come on for a few minutes.
That's right.
And we had so many judges that we had to give them only 3 minutes per judge. Right. And our rule was, because the show was a 1 hour show and you got 20 judges, we don't have a lot of time. So we told them, you get 3 minutes, and we always let the judges, in the order that you showed up at the studio, that's the order in which you went on the show. If you're the first judge here, you're first. If you're the fifth judge here, you're fifth. And they would come in, say what they need to say, and then get off. It's a Sunday, of course. They have to go to church. They have to go to other campaign meetings because it's the Sunday before an election. And we did that for years. It was very, very successful. It's one reason why, to this day, I know a lot of judges because of those types of shows. CAN TV, Doc, is here for the citizens of Chicago so that you can get on TV and you can say what's important to you. Wouldn't you agree with that, Doc?
I agree. And I'm thankful that you brought this original mission statement because, you know, I hope the little disruption we just had is not part of the vindictive spirit, because we need what you have said to be aired so people can know. We will not just let CAN TV, every time they hire a new executive director or get a new board, erase. You know what I'm saying?
Erase.
And we are not here dropping salt on the director.
No, we're not, no.
We are here talking about something that's very, very important.
Very serious.
You know, and I think that one of the reasons Brother Matthews, Gino, has brought it up is because it touched his heart. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I've been here for a minute. And this is something that we do. And there's a lot of people that do it. Now, you got one or two, you know, producers that probably benefit from CAN TV. But they don't represent all of the producers at large.
Correct.
That are having these concerns that Mr. Matthews brought up. And we don't want to get into that. We just need things to be what? Fair.
And the fact that employees of CAN TV are being paid to produce shows is not what CAN TV was about. The fact that money that CAN TV has is being paid to professionals to produce shows for CAN TV, that's not what CAN TV is. If anything, CAN TV should be training citizens to do those jobs.
Right.
And if they're going to pay anybody, they should be paying CAN TV producers to do it.
Well, that's what we used to trade off. We used to, a producer would work your show, and then you work his show. And sometimes we buy pizza because it was producers helping each other. CAN TV staff trained, and then the trained producer reached for the next person that just came out of class and worked their show until we got to where we are.
And what the doc is saying is, at CAN TV previously, and hopefully currently, but previously, they have a training class. Maybe 50 people show up for the training class. Then they say, okay, the next session to start training people after they give you the little introduction is, let's say, 2 weeks from now. So let's say the class has 15 people in it. We're just using 15 as an arbitrary number. I don't know accurately how many they put in the class, but so the 15 of you are trained together. CAN TV trains you how to work the cameras. They train you how to work the lights. They train you how to work the video equipment. Yes, some people are faster than others. Some people are slower than others. But you all were trained together how to use it. So when you graduate and CAN TV says, okay, Gene, you are qualified to work on a show. Now you got 15 other people that are qualified too. So out of that group, you say, wow, I need 3, 4 people, whatever the number is, people to help me with my show. And when you say help you, work the cameras, the lights, or the video equipment, the audio equipment, whatever the case might be. So you reach with your classmates in the class. They're the ones that are your crew.
That's right.
And that's why Doc says you help them on their show. They help you on your show. I met a lot of wonderful people that way. And in the beginning, at least for the first 2 years, I was on the crew. You know what I mean? And I saw ideas and I got ideas. I mean, one of the first shows I was a crew on was Kathy Hayes. You know what I mean? I never was a crew on your show because I was too intimidated. You and Brother Boise were like larger than life figures
But
to
then
me.
you became a co-host on the show. Right.
And that's the beauty of it.
Right.
Because after crewing on the show and meeting you gentlemen, you guys said, well, you seem to have a few brain cells, so we're going to have you come on the show. Now, of course, if I don't fit, you might not never have me on the show again. But you say, wow, this dude is kind of good with statistics. He always seemed to have numbers and information. That's a nice thing to put on the show because it's hard to refute actual facts. And I appreciate that.
And how many titles have you had? Particularly the one that you and Boise used to do on Saturday morning with those sports figures.
We had the sports show,
Right.
the Sports Spectacular. I was
Right.
the host of the Sports Spectacular. We had cheerleaders on our show. We had cheerleaders. They were wonderful.
I had to say it.
I had to say it. I had Daily Land.
That's right.
A show called Daily Land where we talked about Richie Daly. It was a wonderful show.
It's true.
He didn't think it was so wonderful. My car got towed from Can TV 2 times, which means we must have been doing a good job. And one time the judge even threw one of the cases out when I talked to him. He said, I'm going to throw that case out. So I really appreciate the judge on that occasion. But we've had Strogerville. We've had Daily Land. All kinds of good shows. I had to say it. I had a show for years where I would get challengers, people that were running against people that were running for office. That's one reason I know so many judges. Kwame Raoul was on my show more than once. A super great guy. One of the current aldermen, her mother was on my show. One of my favorite politicians. One of my favorite politicians. And she was so appreciative after the show. She sat down and wrote me a check immediately, right after the show. I said, Miss, no, we don't take no money. She said, no, baby, take this. She wrote me a check, and I'm so proud of that. But, of course, I never cashed a check.
Right.
Never. Because the beauty is it was free. It's free. And she's an alderman, so I certainly don't want her thinking
Right.
you have to pay.
Right.
But that's just, she felt like the show was so beneficial to the message she was trying. She just felt in her heart, I have to donate something. Because sometimes when you're in that church thing, you feel like, I gotta, you
Pass it
are
on.
like that also. You're like that also, Doc. You will donate just because the flow was so good and you
Right.
feel like you need to donate to it. That's one thing about you. You have that spiritual in you where you feel like you have, and she was like that. And her daughter now is an alderman. She don't even know that. I never even told her that story. But her mother was great. So, that's the beauty of Can TV. And you can do it. We did it. I've been doing it for a lot of years. My kids now are bigger.
Yeah.
They're very successful, and they started here in Can TV, Doc.
And that's history. And I really appreciate you, Brother Matthews, sharing that with the public. Because this is tradition. And there will be many people that come and go. Many people have gone to the afterlife that was here,
That's right.
that helped grow this.
That's right.
And I don't know what's going on here, but what you brought up, if the time require, we will.
We'll be back.
Right.
If
We
it don't
will.
change, we will be back. And we want your help, and we want your thanks, and we want to see you next time.
And we want to see the program ran. We don't want this program not ran because we don't have a freedom of speech. Because Matthew would be, he take it there.
We got lawyers. We'll show the show. Don't worry about
right,
that.
all right.
You know what I mean? We'll get it shown. Thank you so much. We want to thank the Can TV crew that's here today helping us. Amari was our producer. He's not here today. He was fired by the new executive director. So we're going to get into that one of these days also. But the ladies they have here today are wonderful. And we want to thank them for producing today's show, because they just went out of their way to make sure everything went wonderful. And we have our undying thanks to them. Is that right, Doc?
That is correct.
You know what I mean? So see you next time. Please turn in next time. For Gina and the Doc and the elders, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.